So in this video, I want to go over how you can respond to a text that you don't like from a girl. So there's basically two major responses to a text that you don't like. First, you can ignore it, or secondly, you can challenge it, right? And when you ignore a text, then you have two choices within that choice, right? It's like a logic tree, right? So the first option in the flow chart is, okay, I want to ignore this text. Now, do you ignore the whole text? You just leave her on read? Or do you just ignore the part of the text that you don't like? The toxic way to go about it is just to ignore the whole text. The only time I would ignore the whole text is if I really just don't like the way she's talking to me. She's being rude. She's being short. You can tell that there's bad vibes over it, whatever. If you just don't like the way she's texting at all, just stop responding. But if there's only one part of the text, like she teased you and you just didn't like it, right? It's not that you don't have a sense of humor. It's just you didn't like the way that she was addressing you. I always had a pet peeve about when girls would try to, when they talk to me, they would say bro, or there's just something that always got me about when a girl would be like, hey bro. It's just I'm not your bro. Even if we were hanging out and being intimate together, so it wasn't like she was friend zoning me. I just didn't like the way that I just didn't like if girls talk that way. That's just my preference, right? If a girl would be like, hey bro, and then da da da, I would just ignore the bro part. I don't like that. Or what's up? I just don't like when girls talk that way. That's just my preference, right? And if that was their only text to me, I would then challenge it, right? So that's the second response. You can challenge it. So I would say, bro, right? Or what's up? When did you start talking like that? So I'll challenge her on that. Now, if that's her personality and all that, okay, that's fine. But usually it was a situation where that's not how she usually acts. I'm just kind of why are you acting that way, So that's a way that you can challenge a text. You question it. That's what challenging really means, is you either question it or you give a rebuttal. Or if there's a part of the text you don't like, just ignore that one part because you don't have to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Or you can ignore the whole text. Some people use that a bit too much and they make themselves really toxic and create this environment of weird, anxious attachment responses to each other. So I'd advise avoiding that for the most part, but it is a choice. But that's how you respond to texts that you don't like from girls, which I suggest you do because you're allowed to like things and not like things. So if you like advice like this, check out my book in my bio or my description.